We now know how Russiagate got started, and we know that it was all a lie started by the Hillary Clinton campaign. That the Hillary Clinton campaign realized she was in trouble because of her email scandal, which had broken in 2015 in the wake of Benghazi. We found these emails of hers that were weird, and people were like, what server was that on, and so on. And it created a problem for her all the way up to Election Day 2016.
But I could see them and hear them in my ear, and they said, Tulsi Gabbard, you're coming out and criticizing Hillary Clinton and her foreign policy record. Aren't you afraid of what she'll do to you? He asked me this on live television on MSNBC. And you're laughing. I laughed too. I was like, no, I am not afraid of what Hillary Clinton can do to me.
Megyn Kelly and Tulsi Gabbard stepping up to roast Hillary Clinton feels like unleashing a fierce duo armed with sharp tongues and unstoppable truths. Together, they strike at a political heavyweight who once believed she'd already faced it all. From disastrous campaign blunders to decades of swirling controversies, these two leave absolutely nothing hidden. Hillary's carefully polished image starts to crumble beneath the weight of their piercing words, each critique slicing through her legacy like a blade. They expose the contradictions, the scandals, and the staggering missteps that kept her from seizing the throne she so desperately longed for. This isn't just criticism, it's a full-scale dismantling, served with fiery wit, bold conviction, and unfiltered intensity that leaves no mercy in its wake.
Of course, is the original election denier. I'm sure you voted for her in 2016.
Well, she's not an election denier.
She absolutely was the OG election denier.
First of all, she came out before the sun had risen to concede the election to Trump.
And then spent the next 4 years saying he was illegitimate. He was an illegitimate president.
Okay, well, first of all, she didn't say he was an illegitimate.
Yes, she did.
You tell me exactly what she said.
She said those exact words repeatedly.
They are using the same old tactic that the deep state's propaganda arm in the media uses. Whenever they come across something that is true and that doesn't go along with whatever their narrative is that they're trying to shove down the throats of the American people, they first usually ignore it, as they did when I first released these documents.
If you're enjoying this video, don't forget to subscribe and hit that bell icon for more explosive commentary. Megyn Kelly's razor-sharp insight sliced straight through the polished facade of establishment politics. She exposes Hillary's constant struggle to connect with ordinary voters despite years basking in the spotlight. With a tone both witty and fearless, Kelly peels back the layers of scripted speeches and forced empathy, revealing a politician more obsessed with appearances than authenticity. Every carefully crafted slogan becomes a punchline in Kelly's takedown, mocking the endless attempts to reinvent herself while highlighting missed chances, misplaced priorities, and the growing disconnect between her image and reality.
Stole his first term as president. These absolute liars who run around trying to act like they're the protectors of democracy completely ruined it, tried to undermine it at every turn and at the highest levels with lies, with out-and-out lies that were really serious, and changed foreign policy and changed the course of history in this country in Trump's presidency. And there must be accountability. There has to be actual criminal accountability for those who lied. And I can't wait to see this administration.
Tulsi Gabbard steps into the spotlight with an insider's edge, dismantling Hillary Clinton's foreign policy record with chilling precision. From risky decisions in the Middle East to her cozy connections with elite power players, Tulsi exposes a web of contradictions and moral compromises that can't be ignored. Her sharp critique zeroes in on how Hillary's actions often clashed with the very ideals she claimed to champion. Each point Tulsi makes paints a vivid portrait of a politician more consumed by ambition than genuine progress. Someone who spoke of peace but too often chose power.
That all of these pieces fit quite seamlessly together, creating a very clear timeline that shifted from before the election, the intelligence community almost uniformly saying essentially that Russia is trying to sow discord in the US election, but has no preference for one candidate over another. And then all of a sudden, Trump wins the election, surprising many people, both here and abroad, as we've learned in later documents that we've reviewed, that that throughout that campaign, Russia believed that Hillary Clinton would win the election.
Together, Megyn Kelly and Tulsi Gabbard deliver a brutal and captivating takedown that shatters the illusion of Hillary Clinton's political armor. They drag every scandal, every gaffe, and every failure to inspire genuine trust right into the spotlight. With their combined voices, they unravel the myth surrounding her legacy, exposing a career defined not by triumph, but by controversy and lost opportunities. It's a relentless roast that allows no room for excuses or carefully spun narratives. What unfolds is a raw, unapologetic reckoning with a figure who once seemed untouchable but now stands completely dismantled before the public eye.
And our audience knows this, and you guys, but just for the record, let's play SOT 10.
I do think that he knows that he's an illegitimate president. I believe he knows he's an illegitimate president. He knows that there were a bunch of different reasons why the election turned out the way it did. And as I've been telling candidates who have come to see me, you can run the best campaign, you can even become the nominee, and you can have the election stolen from you.
We're trying to tell the American people the truth and expose these people, many of whom you just showed, for who they are as the propaganda arm of the deep state, which would have no power and no influence if they weren't able to feed their lies into a willing spokesperson through the propaganda media.
Hillary Clinton's political journey has always been a storm of contradictions, a thrilling yet chaotic ride filled with sky-high ambitions and crushing disappointments. Tulsi and Kelly don't merely highlight her mistakes, they shine a glaring spotlight on the vast gap between her polished public persona and the messy truths lurking behind closed doors. It's the tale of a politician who mastered the art of staying visible but never truly connected with the people she claimed to represent. Every revelation feels like peeling back another layer of illusion, exposing the struggle of a woman desperate to remain relevant, yet unable to capture the hearts of those she sought to lead.
So what is so concerning about what Hillary Clinton is doing here is she is not only calling me a traitor, she is not only trying to smear my character, she's sending a warning out to every veteran, every single American, anyone who stands up against the warmongering foreign policies that really are her legacy, that have been so destructive and costly to my brothers and sisters in uniform.
Kelly's critique slices deep into Hillary's communication style, polished yet hollow, rehearsed yet strangely lifeless. She paints the picture of a politician whose every word feels like it's flowing straight from a teleprompter built to impress, not inspire. It's the kind of talk designed for focus groups, not for people craving genuine leadership. Kelly's sharp observations show how Hillary's grand promises and lofty visions rang empty for voters tired of empty speeches and political doublespeak. This wasn't a leader igniting a movement, it was someone desperately clinging to fading relevance in a world that had already moved on. Meanwhile, Tulsi steps in with her insider perspective, dissecting Hillary's foreign policy record piece by piece. From Libya's collapse to the chaos in Syria, she exposes how those choices unleash devastating consequences, revealing a troubling pattern of interventionist policies that betrayed the very ideals of peace and diplomacy she so proudly preached.
And as she got closer to Election Day, she decided to concoct two lies about Donald Trump to distract from her email scandal. She got the Steele dossier through this Fusion GPS company that her campaign paid, and she got this group CrowdStrike, which was the one responsible for the hack into that's the one that said that the Russians hacked the DNC email.
Megyn Kelly doesn't pull a single punch when calling out Hillary's obsession with controlling the narrative through the media. She exposes how the Clinton campaign twisted coverage, silenced dissent, and created an atmosphere where criticism was punished instead of addressed. It wasn't transparency, it was a stage-managed PR operation shielding a fragile image from collapse. Tulsi takes the baton and sharpens the blade, zeroing in on Hillary's inability to adapt to a rapidly changing political landscape. She argues that that Hillary failed to grasp the struggles of working-class Americans, leaving a gaping void her opponents eagerly exploited. The roast goes even deeper, revisiting the infamous email scandal, a moment both women insist wasn't just a hiccup, but a symbol of deeper ethical cracks. Tulsi frames it as proof of broader lapses in integrity and judgment that shattered Hillary's credibility and trust forever.
When I resigned as vice chair of the DNC in 2016, specifically so that I could campaign against Hillary Clinton in that Democratic primary,
Kelly tears into the contradictions surrounding Hillary's rise to power. Yes, she shattered glass ceilings, but her tactics often clashed with the unity expected from a true feminist icon. Tulsi echoes this sting, pointing out how Hillary missed countless chances to build genuine alliances, choosing calculated politics that alienated her own supporters instead. As the roast intensifies, they strip away the illusion of inevitability surrounding her career, showing how overconfidence and strategic missteps became her undoing. Kelly emphasizes how Hillary underestimated the force of grassroots movements and the nation's hunger for real change, while Tulsi brands her story as a cautionary tale of ambition detached from the people's voice. Together, they reveal a legacy both magnetic and maddening, commanding fierce loyalty from some while embodying frustration and betrayal for many others.
One of the pieces that Glenn and I were getting close to in the discussion was the Hillary piece of this and the evidence, because that is, they do name a couple of names in this appendix on who came up with this scam. And the name that we keep seeing over and over, as one of them at least, was Julianne Smith. Schellenberger writes Julianne. It's Julianne. He writes, the alleged creator of the plan was Julianne Smith, a Clinton policy advisor.
The ending lands with a thunderous impact. Kelly and Tulsi paint Hillary Clinton not as a helpless victim of fate, but as the architect of her own downfall. They argue that her legacy will be remembered not for victories, but for squandered chances, shattered trust, and an image that collapsed under the weight of scrutiny. This isn't just a roast, it's a reckoning that demands the audience to see beyond the headlines and media spin. Kelly and Tulsi challenge viewers to confront the uncomfortable truth about one of America's most scrutinized figures. They remind us that in politics, as in life, authenticity and accountability will always matter more than polished speeches and carefully rehearsed charm. What emerges is the haunting portrait of a woman who tried to be everything to everyone and ended up standing for nothing at all.
Also, in this latest House report, they talk about how they also in the House, this is the House in 2020, pointing out that the ICA of 2017 ignored evidence that Putin seemed to be protecting Hillary Clinton in a couple of ways. It did not mention, for example, that Putin chose not to leak info he appeared to have on Hillary Clinton's health, including that she suffered from psycho-emotional problems and was on daily tranquilizers. We don't know whether that's true. We know that Putin appeared to have that intel in his pocket and chose
Leaving the criminal charges to the Department of Justice. I am not an attorney, but as I've said previously, when you look at the intent behind creating a fake manufactured intelligence document that directly contradicts multiple assessments that were created by the intelligence community, the expressed intent and what followed afterward can only be described as a years-long coup and a treasonous conspiracy against the American people.
Kelly rips into the calculated construction of Hillary's public persona, crafted to appeal to everyone, yet resonating with almost no one. The elegant speeches, the rehearsed displays of empathy, and the forced attempts at relatability all crumble under Kelly's sharp critique. She declares that authenticity became the first casualty of Hillary's obsession with optics. Voters, Kelly warns, can always sense when someone's faking it, and that awareness becomes fatal to trust. Then Tulsi jumps in, slicing deeper with her insider's insight, exposing the reckless foreign policy choices that led to chaos, from disastrous interventions to cozy deals with global elites. Together, they paint a damning picture of political ambition gone unchecked, showing how a mix of compromises and miscalculations destroyed her credibility beyond repair.
So the Russians were able to hack Leonard, and that's where they saw the plan. And we now have in the Durham Annex, like full screen grabs of the Russian memos that the Dutch got their hands on and leaked to us, where the Russians are recounting exactly what they saw Leonard discussing about this Hillary Clinton fan and emissary, Julianne Smith, and how they were going to stop Trump, undermine Trump, but most importantly, distract from Hillary's email scandal.
Kelly takes aim at Hillary's media strategy, showing how her efforts to silence criticism backfired spectacularly. Instead of control, they bred defensiveness and suspicion that only deepened public doubt. Tulsi drives the point home, arguing that in an age where people crave honesty and openness, these secretive tactics only made her appear more out of touch. Both women highlight Hillary's failure to connect with struggling working-class voters, whose economic worries went unanswered, leaving her vulnerable to rivals who see that frustration. The infamous email scandal resurfaces once again. Kelly mocks the clumsy damage control, while Tulsi calls it evidence of deeper ethical cracks that could no longer be ignored. They even spotlight the contradictions in her feminist message, as she championed women's rights publicly while undermining female rivals privately, a double standard that weakened what could have been a unifying cause.
This woman should be in jail. Literally, Hillary Clinton should be behind bars. And so should the people who worked for her who did this. This is so blatantly corrupt. She wanted to distract from her email scandal. She cooked up a plan to accuse Trump of being a Russian agent in order to distract from her own legitimate scandal. She made up a scandal about Trump being a Russian.
As the critique reaches its peak, Kelly and Tulsi completely dismantle the myth of Hillary Clinton's inevitability. They reveal how her overconfidence blinded her to the powerful wave of grassroots energy surging beneath her feet. Kelly exposes a candidate who underestimated the passion and strength of bottom-up movements, while Tulsi underscores how that fatal miscalculation sealed her downfall for good. Their fiery roast concludes with a sobering reflection. True political success isn't just about breaking barriers, it's about building real trust. They argue that Hillary's story stands as both a warning and a lesson, a symbol of what happens when authenticity fades beneath ambition. In the end, they remind the world that even the most polished figure can collapse beneath the weight of their own contradictions and unkept promises.